Hello everyone, welcome to the podcast channel of the Faculty of Business and Economics of the University of Pannonia. The topic of today's discussion is CROCUS project, focusing on cross-border tourism in rural and remote areas funded by the European Union. My talk partner is Dr. Ágnes Raffay-Danyi, who is an associate professor of the Department of Tourism and professional leader and tourism expert of CROCUS project. Ágnes, thank you for accepting our invitation.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and I would also like to welcome the listeners.
Let me share some information about the CROCUS partnership. Consists of 10 partners from Denmark, Slovenia, Italy, Finland, Estonia, Bulgaria, Netherlands, Croatia and Hungary. We are working closely together with our partners to achieve our goals, led by Aalborg University in Denmark. The project started in April 2024 and will run until March 2027. Let's start with the first question. What is the project about? What was the aim of the research conducted by the researcher of the University of Pannonia? And why Zala and Pomurske region?
Well, as you have mentioned, the project aims to look at cultural and creative tourism in cross-border areas. The aim is to exploit the potential in cultural heritage, also in creative tourism, to increase the economic and social situations in rural areas by developing tourism, by providing jobs to the area. Our research was also concerning this, to assess what are the current potentials of tourism in the cultural and creative tourism in the area, which might be already utilized, and what are the other potentials which could be further developed into touristic products or services. Mm-hmm. And you have also asked why
yes.
we have chosen this region. The project call suggested looking at predominantly rural areas, where there is relatively significant cultural tourism offer already, and we extended our search by other factors, or with other factors, including potential in cooperation. And as the University of Pannonia has already had a successful project in the region, collaborating with different settlements in Slovenia, in the Pomurske region and in the South Zala region, we decided to use them as the basis for our research. From the university, the tourism department was involved in the research, and from the project area, we have involved local authorities from different settlements, tourism service providers, also cultural organizations. In the research, and furthermore we also try to explore how the local residents and the tourists visiting the area feel about the tourism potential and what they would like to see in the future.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned project area, but you call it in a specific name in the project. It is living labs, right? And there are many living labs within this project.
Yes, within the project there are 8 living labs, 8 cross-border living labs, which is an interesting phenomenon. Some of the participants or some of the project partners were already familiar with this term and with this project thinking. It was a new concept for us Hungarians and for some of the other partners as well. But before the listeners start to get worried about us experimenting with people, living labs don't mean experimenting with people. It means involving people to assess their needs, the challenges that they face, and the strengths that they would like to build on. So we work with people rather than on people in the living labs.
Exactly. What differences did you observe between the Hungarian and the Slovenian residents, locals, in terms of the way of thinking towards tourism? And what are the difficulties they are facing with?
Well, we noticed some differences. We managed to collect the opinions of over 60 local residents from both sides. So altogether we had over 150 responses. And we we could draw the conclusions that they are quite pro-tourism on both sides of the border. So they encourage tourism development in the area because they can see the positive benefits. On both sides of the border, they mentioned tourism creating jobs, which was a key factor for them. Also, some of the respondents suggested that tourism also contributes to the quality of life in the region. Also, it improves the shopping and the entertainment facilities as well. On the Slovenian side, some respondents also claim that it contributes to the quality of education as well. So they listed numerous positive impacts. I have to admit that there were some negative impacts that they were a bit worried about as results of tourism. On the Slovenian side, we experienced that they were more concerned about the potential negative impacts of tourism, including increased traffic, potential pollution, water and air pollution, and also more waste piling up due to tourism.
You mentioned the quality of life. What are the differences between the two regions in terms of quality of life?
We observed noticeable differences. The Slovenians are generally happier or more satisfied with their quality of life. When we asked them to rate their quality of life on a scale of 1 to 4, where 4 was above average, there were significantly more respondents in Slovenia who said that their living standards are higher than average, much less in Hungary. What was also interesting to see that the Slovenians were more happy in the area where they lived. So when we asked whether they would move away from their current homes, from the region, if it was possible, more Hungarians suggested that they would consider it, whereas the Slovenians seemed to be more attached to the region.
You mentioned that you conducted a very, very wide survey focused on the locals, but also the businesses. What are they thinking about the tourism? How do you say, is it important? What do they think?
Yes, the touristic businesses also found tourism very important, not only because of the business perspective, but also they claim that tourism contributes to the protection of the cultural heritage. Preserving the cultural heritage through tourism is also seen as a way of passing down the knowledge, the skills of old traditions to the next generations. Especially on the Slovenian side, several businesses suggested that because of tourism, some of the traditions can survive because the youth see a potential in learning those skills so that they can build their businesses on those later on. So this was one of the significant differences. They were very positive about tourism. There was one concern that we heard from Slovenian business partners. They were a bit worried about the representation or more like the misrepresentation of culture. So they were worried that not the real value of culture would be presented to tourists. This was something that was not mentioned on the Hungarian side.
Interesting. So we already see the region through the eyes of the locals and the businesses, but what about the visitors? What makes them attractive to them, and what about their willingness to return to these places?
We were very lucky in our questionnaire survey. We managed to reach a quite loyal area or layer of tourists. Over 40% of the respondents have visited the area more than 5 times. Exactly. We were surprised to hear that there were so many return visitors. Admittedly, a lot of them were one-day visitors, but there were also some tourists who claimed that they stayed over 2 weeks in the region, some of them due to their second homes or holiday homes that they have in the region. But still, I think it's a good proof of a good touristic product or good touristic services if they are happy to return. We also asked them to rate their touristic experience, and the rates were very high across the 2 sides of the border. So when we asked them to rate their touristic experience on a scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is excellent, the average result was 4.2.
That's nice.
I think it's quite a good indicator of a nice a touristic offer or an attractive touristic offer. And also almost 80% of them would consider returning to the region.
Could you tell us a bit more what makes the region more attractive?
We found from the visitor survey that the spas, the hiking routes, also the cycling path, and the waterfront locations, so the lakesides and the riversides, are the most important elements for the visitors to come to the region. We also asked them what their satisfaction level is with the various attractions. It was interesting to notice that although they listed the attractions which they found more important in the region, what they were most satisfied with was a different list. Castles and mansions came out top, that they were most satisfied with the experience that they gained at those locations. Also the hiking trails were relatively high on the list, and culture centers were also deemed as positive touristic experiences. It was also interesting to see that the visitors were always more satisfied with the various tourist attractions than the locals or the touristic businesses, which we associated with the locals being used to those attractions. So probably it was just the fresh eye of the tourists that made these attractions more interesting to them.
What are the biggest problem or challenges on both sides, and what are the strengths of the two regions individually?
I think the challenges can be seen in the infrastructure. We're talking about rural areas. Especially the transport infrastructure was highlighted on both sides, more like the road quality on the Hungarian side, and the lack of available public transport on the Slovenian side. They mentioned concrete examples like after events, it's difficult to return home if the event is not in somebody's home settlement. Another joint challenge that we experienced was the lack of workforce, especially skilled workforce. The problem seems to be more prominent on the Slovenian side. They also mentioned that this lack of workforce can impact on the availability of services. Some touristic service operators cannot operate 7 days a week because they don't have the workforce. So we find settlements where there's no restaurant open on a Monday, for example, because they just don't have the staff to operate them. Maybe another issue to mention was the lack of coordination and cooperation at regional level, which was surprising on both sides. Slovenian partners mentioned the examples that events run parallel in different settlements, basically attracting visitors away from one another. So this is not an issue of financing, it's an issue of working together and collaborating. And this could also relate to another issue, marketing. Neither of the sides felt it significantly strong, so there's still potential in strengthening the marketing activities and also joint marketing activities.
Yes, this joint marketing and cooperation, so you mentioned this within these regions, but what about the cooperation between the two countries? How do you see, are there any willingness on both sides to do that?
What we have experienced during the research is that there is strong willingness from the partners to collaborate. There are already antecedents. They have worked together on European projects before, and they have also developed project proposals together. For example, between two settlements which have significant similarities in their characteristics. So they were considering doing a sort of mirror project that the visitors can see certain elements on one side of the border and then compare it on the other side of the border. There were also examples of potential collaboration ideas on gastronomic festivals. On both sides of the border there are significant gastronomic festivals which draw wide ranges of audiences, and they can see a way of collaborating, maybe inviting each other to the festival, so that they can the participants can show their traditions on the other side of the border, and it may also attract a new audience.
Oh. We were talking about challenges, problems, cooperations, a lot of things that serve, I think, an inspiration for a solution, right? So are there any development ideas coming out from the research for the future?
Yes, we have heard several realistic sounding suggestions for touristic development. As we have mentioned before, the region has got really great potential in exploiting the natural resources as well, and combining it with cultural elements or heritage elements. So one of the suggestions was to create a thematic route along gastronomic heritage, for example. There were also suggestions as to how complex products could be developed, by which we mean products which are not focusing on just one element, like hiking or just a cultural tradition, but combining the two. So organizing hiking tours or events where the cultural heritage is also interwoven in the activities, where the participants can learn about those traditions, even the locals can find out about some of the things that they took for granted, like the names of certain fields, but it turns out that they were named like that because of a tradition. So there were suggestions that these could be combined, and also it would serve the need of visitors to be actively involved in exploring places, maybe in treasure hunts.
I'm just thinking that what will be the final outcome? What do you offer as a CROCUS project for this Living Lab area? What will they get from this project?
From these results, there will be some sustainable business model canvases developed, which will be the founding or the foundational stone or the basis for potential tourism development based on cultural and creative touristic elements. I would like to emphasize that these will be sustainable tourism business models, because they will comply with what the locals would like to see. They also focus on the needs of the tourists, and first of all, they rely on the potential resources of the region. These business models will be developed only to a certain point. So the project did not promise that they will develop new touristic products, but at least these business models will be developed to a certain level, so that they can be the starting point of new projects if partners see potential in developing those.
Fingers crossed for that. And what are the next steps, just shortly, within the project?
There will be some workshops held in each of the Living Lab and separately on the two sides of the border. It's important because we want all the participants to feel comfortable, so that they can have these workshops in their local language, but the focal point will be the same. On both sides of the border, these workshops will narrow down which are these business models that they would like to develop in their regions, and the final workshop will just refine the certain elements of the business model.
Ági, thank you for sharing all these interesting things, and I wish you a success in the future work.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention. Please follow us on CROCUS LinkedIn and Instagram pages.